All right. Happy Canada Day, everybody. I'm Patrick from Have Cheetah Worldview, and I am the host of Eight Questions with. We are going to be talking with the very talented and very skilled actor Paul Greene. He'll be here in about 15 minutes. Um, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to my channel, please feel free to subscribe and hit the like button. That would be awesome. I do this on the regular. This is my 131st interview. So there are plenty of people. If you, like I said, if you're new to the channel and you like to see who we've been talking to, you can go over there and check out my playlist. I have playlists over there. But yeah, this is a pretty big interview for me and the channel. Um, Interviewing a major star for the Hallmark Channel. And yes, I am very much a big fan of the Hallmark Channel. Um, uh, uh, I am a postable. Uh, just let just let you know that I'm not crazy. So I'm a hardy. So and like I said, I'm a big postable. Love this series. So Hallmark, do get a chance to talk to a Hallmark star. It's actually pretty fun for me. Pretty fun. Um, and I am so much looking forward to this. Um, hey, Katie, thank you for coming. Me too. I, I am a big, like I said, I am a very much a big Hallmark fan. So I have watched and reviewed plenty of their movies, and reviewed a lot. So hey, Ava, yes, that's what I've heard. I've watched his concerts. He does every Fridays. He does his Friday lives, and so yeah, he's very much what I really like about Paul. This is my observation. Um, is that he has a big motor, and what I mean by that is he's always going. He's always got something creative working, and that's awesome. Um, a lot of actors, a lot of artists, they might do a project and then they'll take a little time off, But Paul, he keeps, he bounces from one project to another. He's constantly on the move. He's very, what I like too is also how he doesn't really have fans. He has friends. That's really cool. Uh, that's something that's different. When the artist has a relationship with their with their with their fans, be able to have a friendship with them, to be able to communicate with them, know their name, know a little bit about their family. Um, that's pretty cool. Hi, Michael. How are you, sir? Yes, I agree with that, Charlene. His motor is huge. I'm in awe. I'll tell you the truth. Questions, Casey, for sure. Uh, we will be talking to actor, songwriter, and writer Paul Greene in about 10 minutes or so. Um, Many of these ladies in here and some of the fellas, they might know Paul Greene. He starred for 5 seasons on When Calls the Heart, playing Dr. Carson Shepherd. Uh, he's also done at least seven to eight Hallmark movies where he's been the leading man, and that's no mean feat. Uh, Hallmark movies are a lot of fun. Um, they're yeah, they're a lot of fun. Um, Very much enjoy them. Yes, there's another artist that I worked with. I did 3 shows with him. Some of you might know his name. His name is Chris Isaac, and I've got to work with him on 3 shows. And Chris Isaac probably is the one artist I could think of that Paul reminds me of. Um, Chris is very hands on with his fans. Um, he knows a lot of them by their name. He knew a lot of the fans by their names. I mean, they come up to every show that he does, and they would come up there and buy merchandise, and he signed for everybody. Everybody. We've had shows where we had 1,000 people there, and about 700 all wanted something signed from Chris, and he stayed till the last person was taken care of. Yes, we're gonna have Paul sing a couple of songs today because he's got a brand new album out, The Long Way Home. So I know he's probably been doing a few of those on the lives, but we're gonna have him come there and do it again a little bit more. Basically because this is a new audience. I mean, we'll have a lot of people here that have not seen him before necessarily, or so we will have a chance to talk to him and show him off to some new audience members. Hi, Echo. How are you, sir? Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Those who can wish to share us out, that'd be appreciated. I will have to say right away that I want to say a special thank you to Ruth Hill for helping me on this interview. Ruth is just a tremendously talented assistant and skilled operator in her own right. Her and I speak the same language, so so I'm really glad that I hope that she comes and watches the interview. Of course, then I'm under the pressure because she's a peer, and I don't want to disappoint. um, yes, yeah, he's very good singer songwriter. That's what I used to do in a different life. I was a talent buyer for 10 years in California, so I pretty much know a good singer when I hear it, and Paul definitely is a good singer. Yeah, Ruth is the best. And if like I said, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Oh, there she is. There she is. That's our girl. Hi, Ruth. Thank you so much. You're the best. Seriously. Thank you so much for this. Well, I got a few minutes while we wait for Paul to get here. Those who are here that know the channel, they know that what's coming up. I got time to probably do a week worth of calendar. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, we do this every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays on every week with some special days like today. And so if you're new and you want to see how it works after this show, you can come back on May 10th. We're having a YouTube creator come on. Her name is Ava Potterfield, who's actually in their chat right now. And she'll be our special guest along with her husband, Doug, on Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So she'll be here, and we'll be watching Ava. We'll be talking about life on the farm. And Ava will be doing a unique food challenge. So that'll be a lot of fun on Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. On the 11th, we have our good friend Tiffany Loves T-shirts. Tiffany Duncan will be here, and she'll be talking about her channel and her life living in Pennsylvania and what's it like. She's also started she's a really unique person. A lot of fun, a lot of energy. You definitely will love Tina. I mean, hi Tina, I see you. Sorry, Tiffany. See, I don't see Mr. Bones is here yet. All right, let's see. Yep, go ahead and feel free to connect with each other in the chat too, by all means. And then next Thursday on the 12th, we have a film collector, a cinephile, a true cinephile, one who knows a tremendous amount of movies, movie knowledge, a super collector. His name is Michael. His channel is Heroic Waffles. It's the best channel name on YouTube. And he'll be here talking with us about collecting films and where to get the best deals. And we'll probably try to convert him into becoming a Hallmark fan too. and that will be on this Thursday. Uh, all good. Everybody saying hi to everybody. That's awesome. Glad to see that. Yes, please do connect with each other. Uh, there's a lot of new faces in the chat today, so this will be a lot of fun. And hey, Rich. Speaking of food challenge, there is our good friend Rich and Leo. He is the one that challenged us, and so we did it, and then we passed it on to you, Ava. Well, we will be talking about that too, because I want to know how an artist like Paul, I want to know how he maintains his health, because that guy is bouncing all over the place. Just full of energy, always on the move. I wonder if I have a feeling that he actually is a cook or a chef. I have a feeling he knows how to work the kitchen. Ava's ready for that sandwich. That's right. Rich, you were a hero, sir. You were a hero. That was a lot of fun. Also on our channel, what we do while we're waiting here, we do a segment called Dollar Tree Theater on our channel. As you probably, if you're new to my channel, I also review films as well as do interviews. And so one of the things that we do here is that we do a Dollar Tree Theater, and that means we find a movie that's $1.25 or less, and then we review it and tell you what we think about it. So every week we do this. I do this every Tuesday. And so for this week, we're voting on 3 movies. I know, pretty exciting. We're voting on 3 movies that you guys can pick up. You can see, pick to see which one we review. Um, I definitely will. I definitely will. We will be voting for a new round of movies coming up. We will be voting on some fun creature features. The Shark Kansas Women's Prison, and we'll be voting for Everfall and a romantic comedy called A Bet's a Bet. So yeah, we do reviews here. Me and the Cheetah. Um, we have a lot of fun here. We also are a co-host of a Sunday night show called The Midnight Society that I host with my buddy Al Lucard every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. What's everybody's favorite Hallmark movie or TV series? Maybe you guys could let me know. What's your favorite movie that you watched? What's your and or TV series from Hallmark? What's your favorite ones? Oh, hey, Mr. Bones. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Yeah, tech issues. Yeah, no problem. That's actually commonplace for California. It's funny that Hallmark, before they became a channel, a proper channel, they used to have a lot of fun movies like that. Bones. They used to do a lot of different types of movies. Yeah. Yep. I saw one called Marco Polo. That was really good. They had Brian Dennehy in it. Hi, Diane Phoenix. Greetings, greetings. But is there any particular one that you liked more than others, Charlene? Is there one that lives close to your heart? One calls the heart. Yep, that's a yep. And I don't know if you guys know this, or you probably already do, but Hallmark has been releasing their movies and their TV series more on the home market. You can find them on DVD on either Amazon or eBay. So I'm really, that's a really good thing about Hallmark channels that they are taking care of their fans in that respect. See, Linda saying, "When Calls the Heart" series, and it was always you, and My Favorite Wedding, and Autumn Dreams, all Hallmark. Yes. Yeah, it's hard. It's when you get a good actor, a good artist, an actor or actress, and they just move you. It's always really, really nice to be able to follow their career and support it, isn't it? You're always so excited when something new comes on and exciting, something new that they've done. It's really exciting. Perfect match. Oh, yeah, the Murder She Baked series with Alison Sweeney. Yeah, I have not been able to find any of those yet. Murder She Baked. I got my eye out. I was looking for them. Uh, all right, kids. He's here, so let's put our hands together for our good friend, singer, songwriter, and wonderful actor, Mr. Paul Greene.
Can you hear me? Oh, there we go.
There we are.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
Never better in my life.
Uh, I'm happy to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
I've been sitting here watching and watching your lives and just been totally impressed. I told the chap that was here that the one thing I really really enjoy about you is you have one hell of a motor, sir.
A motor?
Yes, you're always on the go.
Yeah, busy. Well, I have I do have a team, which makes me way more effective. I'm also it's always kind of been my personality. I like to you know that quote that says a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yeah.
That's only part of the quote. The rest of the quote says, but a master of many is better than a master of one. So everybody stops that quote before it actually finishes. While we're talking here, I'll try and find the exact wording of the quote. But that's like so many things in life are taken out of context. But that quote is master of of many is a jack of all trades is a master of none. But the rest of the quote is so empowering to somebody who loves to do a lot of things. And I do like to do a lot of things, and I get a lot of joy. Now, do I become masterful at all of them? No. If I focus on one thing for a long time, I get better at it. But that's I'm willing to. I like to get good at certain things, but because I like to do so many different things, it's hard to become like a master of that one thing because I have so many things I love doing.
One quick note. It looks like it says
You're
everything
quiet.
that you're quiet.
I wonder how I've done this before in here. You can hear me fine though, can't you?
Oh yeah.
That's strange. Okay, hang on. I'm in here. I wonder, is there a way? Okay, the stereo audio. automatically adjust mic volume. Let me see. Does this do it? Is that better, everybody? I just
Yeah,
cranked it. So
yeah, that's a lot better.
okay. So
Now,
so yeah.
are
Let me know if
you
it.
you have a monitor? Are you watching me on your phone or on your computer?
Yes.
Okay, um, because I'm hearing echo.
Oh, are
So
you okay? I
yeah,
have. Let me just turn you down like this, so then, and or I can put in this earphone, then you won't hear it. Let me do that. Let's do that. No shortage of technical fun, but as long as it
oh,
doesn't choose this as my input audio, which would stink because it's not good audio.
you
Uh,
sound perfect,
yeah,
and echo's gone.
and the echo's gone. All right, let's hope
There we go.
it still stays as that. Okay, awesome.
Everybody say much better.
Good, good, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember.
I agree. I agree with you about the master of master of none. I'd rather be skilled at a lot of different things than just one thing. If you could dabble a little bit in everything, eventually if you keep dabbling enough long enough, you will become a master.
I,
So,
I, I, I think so. And then for me, it's about enjoyment less than mastering it. I mean, I enjoy doing the thing so much and as you get better at it, but the thing is, Patrick, I am always learning. Like I'm always taking new. I do 2 singing lessons a week, and I have 2 guitar courses on the go, and I'm in an acting class every week religiously for the last 2 years on Zoom. That's 5 hours every Monday, and I am training for sure, like to get better at the things that I love, but because that brings a lot of freedom. I find like the harder I work and the more I commit to something, the more freedom there is around that thing.
I think a lot of people are surprised, when you talk to, when you talk to an actor or an actress and you talk to them. I think a lot of people are surprised, because considering how much you've had, your success. And I think they're a little bit surprised when they hear you say that you still go to acting class. They go like, "Yeah, but he's an awesome actor." Well, but there you are. You still take class. You still looking to improve yourself.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think that's admirable.
Well,
You're not resting on your laurels.
I think so. An acting school is just like a gym. Like if you're not acting on a show, then you need to find a place to act, and class is just a place to act. And so it's like, how could you be a good painter if you never painted? And it's the same. How do you be an actor if you only act when you're on set? And for even working actors, that comes down to a handful of days a year. Even as a regular on One Calls a Heart, there was some weeks were only 3 days a week, and you multiply that by 12 episodes or however many episodes we did, 10. That's only 30 days. 30 days on
Yeah.
set, and there's no way to get better just by doing 30 days a year on set. So I mean, that's a part of the reason I do class, but also I like to I love learning, Patrick. I like to learn um, more efficient ways of doing things.
I like to talk.
You also seem like you like to listen. You also seem like you like to listen.
I do.
Tell me about your show. Like, how did this start, and how did you stumble upon
How to,
myself, and how did this
well,
come together?
yeah, I'll tell this because I'm talking to your wonderful fans that are here. Um, so my this came from ashes of a tragedy. Um, so I started writing back in 2011 when my wife got sick with cancer. So I was writing out our experiences while she was sick, and well, she passed away in on May 20th, 2013. So I still wrote, but I started thinking, pretty soon people are just, if I kept on writing how brokenhearted and wiped out that I was, I don't think people really wanted to keep reading that.
Right,
So I
right.
started writing film reviews, and after that, then I just started talking to people. I said, would you like to do an interview? And so I asked people to do written interviews with me on my blog, and pretty soon I got pretty good at it. And I started attracting some really nice people there, a lot of artists, and then someone suggested I try YouTube. So I moved the interview series from my blog to here. And I've been on the tube for about a year and a half, and it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
I've done over actually your review number 130, interview 131 today.
Is
So
that right?
yeah, we've been doing it for a while. In fact, we had another celebrity on here I interviewed in Ruth Hill.
Awesome.
Ruth, yeah, Ruth did an interview with me, and um, she's yeah. I'm telling you right now, you have someone there worth their weight in gold.
I,
I've been around a
yeah.
lot of publicists and a lot of personal assistants,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of good ones, but there's very few great ones,
Yeah.
and she's great.
Yeah. You're preaching to the choir. She wears a lot of hats. Talking about, I mean, she's a Gemini like me, so we work well together. We both wear a ton of hats, but she has 10x my effectiveness. That's for sure. I had ideas before, and having an assistant, and it's just getting better and better and better. And
Yeah,
she's always learning and humble. And she also has taken the courses my wife and I do over the years, so she has like a really sharp tool set to deal with communication and which is one of the most important things to know how to do, I think, in your life is communicate is communicate, especially when things go squirrely and a bit sideways.
yeah,
um,
I agree with that. Uh,
yeah.
but since you and I are talking for the first time, I guess what I need to do is I need to take everybody back because see, while everybody here in the chat knows you probably everything about you, I really don't. So I
It's
really
quite
want to talk
possible.
about that.
Okay,
So
what do you want to know?
I want to know where were you born and raised at?
In a little part in the north of Canada, a little town. I guess the nearest town was Millet that had 3,000 people, but we're close to our farm I grew up. But the place was called Wetaskiwin. Which funny, there's an actor from Wetaskiwin that was on a TV show, uh, and there's actually one other actor. I always blank on his name, but he was on a hit show that was called Beachcombers, which was like a logging show, that like a logging drama that was there, and he's actually from Wetaskiwin, and then a lot of hockey players and volleyball players come from my little town. But yeah, Alberta, Canada is where um, my my family, my mom's Dutch and was born in Holland, and her family came over when she was 6 or 7, and my dad's family were in America, the U.S. for a bit. My grandpa was a professional baseball player, and he came to play ball in Canada with my grandmother, and that's how they kind of came across to Canada, I think. Uh, um, and then they went back. That's why I said I think, and then it was something else that brought them back. And actually, my grandmother was an actress. She told me she was about to tour a big play when she met uh, her husband Buford, and he's the reason that she stopped acting, but started a family and had 7 kids, which is my dad's one of 7.
That's
But
all.
I talked to my grandma just before she died. She died recently, I guess a couple years ago, and she's 90. I believe she was 92 or 93, and she had told me, and she never told me that. And all of a sudden, she tells me she was an actress, and as far as I knew, there was no other actors in our family. And I'm like, wait, what? And like she was really doing it. She wasn't just like she was in a traveling touring play in Western Canada, which I found fascinating. I did a really fun interview of her right before she passed away, where I asked her a bunch of questions, and that came out in the interview. And I was like, "Wait, what? It's so cool."
You interviewed your grandmother.
Yeah, I
Man,
filmed it.
that's something we need to all do a little bit more. Uh, to interview, people like, in our older relatives because, they're walking history.
Yeah, there's actually an app or a thing you can do. My son's mom. It's on her Instagram somehow. You do it for Mother's Day, so you send it to your mom, and she gets an email I think every week, and she answers a few questions, and then at the end of the year, they put it in a book, and and then it's a Mother's Day gift to her, but it's also you get this. You really get to know that your mother. It's like a really interesting Mother's Day gift, and I forget the name of it, but I was gonna do it this year, but my mom's not really into writing and especially answering much questions. But some of you. So Angie Green is my son's mom, and on her Instagram stories, it'll be some kind of Mother's Day special. You could probably still do it, but it's. I thought that was a cool idea. Every week, there's an email sent to your mom from this company, and you answer the questions, and then they put it together in a bound book, and then send it to you and to her as a Mother's Day gift the following year, which I think
Yeah.
is super. Isn't that interesting?
It is very interesting because most of the time, by the time the end of the year, they've already pretty much forgotten what they've answered, how they answered, and so when you get it all at once, I'm sure there's a lot
Yeah,
of
and it's put in a book, right? So one
yeah.
second, I forgot to turn on my light show for you. Uh, I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time in here, and it's a little more interesting than just a green wall. My light show back there, it's like got a few things. There we go. I'm like, what's missing in this picture? I'm like, well,
Oh,
my light show.
yes, the light show.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll find the name of that. I'm sure if you just go to Angie Green's website, you'll see it, and she gets like it's like an affiliate deal or something. But I thought that was really cool. Um,
Yeah, I like that idea. I do. I think it's smart.
yeah,
And but now it sort of explains where you got your performing gene at, though, right? I
I
mean, how you
I
look at it
guess
and go like,
so.
oh, yeah, all right.
Maybe I don't know. Everyone's an entrepreneur, which I I've worked a lot of jobs in my life. Like growing up in a small town was I was way too big for that town. Like meaning in my mind, I was one of those people that was always thinking just around the corner somebody was going to discover me, and for my whether it was my volleyball talent, which happened, I went to school on a scholarship to college for volleyball. But as soon as because I was acting a little bit in church and in school plays, and I saw a movie which I wasn't allowed to watch, but my neighbor had Bloodsport and had Purple Rain, and because I grew up very religious, we weren't allowed secular movies. I think the first movie I saw was Chariots of Fire in a theater, which was amazing because it got me running
Right.
and it got me just so amped up about exercise, which was a really cool and such a beautiful score, and probably deeply affected my love for music when I think about it. Chariots of Fire, but
What about Purple Rain? Did
Purple
that
Rain really
did
no
that,
Purple
did that
Rain
help you?
affected. Oh, you better believe it affected me. I mean, I was like, what is this? This is a man that's kind of dressed a little bit like a woman, but he's so masculine, and he's what is going on? Like, I mean, I was introduced to such a bizarre, but then fight Bloodsport with Jean Claude Van Damme is I immediately stopped eating sugar and put myself in martial arts and in acting school. Like the next week, as soon as I got my car at 16, I went to an acting school at 16 because I kept waking up on the farm like for about a week straight after seeing the movie, maybe even 2 weeks on set with Jean Claude Van Damme fighting. When they would yell cut, I would wake up, and I'm like, it wasn't like I was in the movie. I was on, but I was on set, and I had no. It must have just been a divine kind of premonition because I had never wouldn't have any idea what that. There was no internet, so I wouldn't know what that would feel like or look like behind the scenes. Nowadays, there's so much footage of behind the scenes, but I would wake up on set on the farm with chores to do and have to walk quarter mile down to the bus, and I'd just be going, what am I doing? Like, I need to be an actor. And so I so I
You want
found
to get out of there?
yeah, so I found a school, and while I was in school, I it was a school for film and television. But then that summer I got discovered for a volleyball scholarship at Red Deer College, and while I was at Red Deer College is where somebody saw me in a bar for modeling, and it's that modeling that got me out of Alberta. But I always wanted to act, and so along the way I did a bunch of commercials. I did 100 TV commercials before I booked my first TV show.
You did a
But
hundred commercials.
100 TV commercials, yeah, between Paris, Japan, around Tokyo, London, even Italy did some commercials, but then Miami did a bunch of commercials, but and then a few in New York, but about 70 of them were in Los Angeles when I moved here when my son was 6 months old.
When you were in high school, though, it's like you mentioned before, you were a volleyball player and you got a scholarship. Now, when you went to scholarship, now that when you went to school, did you keep your scholarship and go acting wise, or did you finish university? Um,
No, as soon as I got a sniff of the world bigger than Alberta, I was never coming back. From college, I went to Toronto for a Levi's campaign. That was my first job. Was a worldwide Levi's print campaign. I remember it paid me $1,500, and I thought that I had won the lottery because I don't think I'd ever made that much money before. And then right away in Toronto, I found my agent in Paris. They saw me and they brought me to Paris, and I never looked back. I wouldn't, I was in marine biology. I was just there on volleyball. I just wanted to play sports.
now,
Education.
yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Now, when you started modeling though when you were at university, or had you already had, how did you get discovered for that? I mean, were they see you at a match?
No, I was at a bar with my shirt off, eating an apple. Apparently, that's how the story goes. And Kelly Strait, who's a very renowned agent, was at that bar, and he invited me behind the Velvet Rope Society, which is like in the VIP area, and my shirt off, and all these supermodels. And the next morning, he said, "Come, go to this place." And Gerard Yunker was a photographer. We took pictures that next morning, and I and it happened immediately. He sent those pictures off, and with I think within a week I was meeting agents, and another 2 weeks I was off to Toronto. So it happened, yeah, absolutely
Wow. I bet.
instantaneously.
Now, how did you break it to your coach? Coach, thanks for
Well,
giving me a scholarship, man. But I'm off. I'm out of here.
oh, yeah, it was. I thought that was gonna. I mean, my partner and I had a third place ranking in Canada for beach volleyball, so I thought I thought I was going to be an Olympian. Like I thought that was the course that I was going to be headed down. And right at that point, right when got discovered by Kelly, I met a model who was a born again Christian who really, because I kind of grew up that way, but I wasn't really interested in it during college and my last couple of years of high school. But something really clicked, and I became incredibly devoted to one thing, which was God, and as a result of that focus, for somebody who has a lot of interest, I became really focused on uh, reading the Bible and then sort of sharing the story of salvation with people, or whoever I would meet. We're talking like Calvin Klein and Dolce and Gabbana and Tommy Hilfiger, like whoever I would meet. I would go to the biggest head of the company and say, "Do you know about Jesus?" And I would do it in a way I don't think that was creepy, but during that time, all I because I was celibate at 18. I kind of committed, waited till I was going to be married. At 18, I'd met this person, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to wait till I either marry you or somebody like you." And I stopped having sex at 18 until my wedding night. But that experience and that journey was because I wasn't chasing girls and drugs.
That made you more valuable because
It just
you
made
didn't
me.
live the lifestyle.
I don't know. It just made I was definitely more reliable. Like I would show up to work and never be
Yeah.
drunk or high or tired. But my focus was so single that I had all this creative energy to focus on music and cooking and pilot's license and investing. I bought real estate and I learned languages. And so instead of focusing and being distracted by sex, my singular mind focus on God gave me so many gifts. It's incomprehensible
Yeah,
how.
you don't want to waste your gifts. I mean,
Yeah.
when did you realize that you knew that you were? I mean, we all know this inside ourselves. If we're really honest with ourselves, if we really go to the mirror and talk to it, uh, you know, we know that we're multi-talented. We know we could do many things. I mean, I know I could look in the chat here, and I know there's some people in here what they do and how they do it and how skilled they are. I got a great small business owner in here. Him and his wife are a dynamic duo. They run a film company, film distribution company. He's in the chat. I mean, I know he's skilled. But when did you wake up and realize that I have a lot of gifts to offer? I want to do a lot of things and I want to give back because the giving back that must have came from your parents for sure, right? To learn how to give and your moral compass. I mean, they gave that to you. You know, your work ethic on the farm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
I can't think of a better work ethic, trainee than a working farm.
100%. I mean, I thought I was gifted in some ways as far back as I remember. On my first memory, I was like, the world's waiting for me. Like I could, I had so much confidence, but I had a good personality. Like I wasn't I wasn't so confident that people didn't like me, but I was really confident that, and I played every single sport that there was, Patrick, and I ended up being the captain on most of those teams. Like I had so much hunger to experience like every moment in life, no matter what it was. So if you introduced me to something, whether it's bowling or archery or volleyball or basketball, I would watch a video on basketball and I would learn it like the Matrix. I'd be like, okay, I got it. Like I've always been so passionate about learning, and I've never been afraid to look stupid. So I try and I fail really fast and really hard, Patrick. Like I go for it and I make mistakes, but then I get over that kind of awkward bit of trying to get it right. I try to smash it to like an 11, and then I make a lot of mistakes and learn. But I thought the world was waiting for me at a really young age. I had this global vision from honestly as far back as I remember, that I was born to do something. Like if I ever read a cartoon, like a comic strip, I would identify with the hero. If I read the stories of the Bible, even I would identify as like with King David. I was never the villain in those stories. I would always be like, oh yeah, I'm one of God's chosen kids.
Nothing wrong with that.
What's that? No, nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong
And
with that.
and there's a strange humility that came with it, because I think of the hard work ethic that I grew up with. I wasn't like just an entitled kid. I had to work my butt off, and I had like 50 jobs before modeling happened. So I had a really strong work ethic. But the giving back was my dad, and a lot of my fans have
And
heard this story. But I watched my dad put tires on our youth pastor's truck or car when we had just been ripped off 230 grand. My parents, everything my parents had was stolen from them through a deal in Egypt, through a showerhead business my dad invested in, and then we weren't able to eat out, so we had to eat our food from the garden, and which was great food, but we were used to eating at Peter's Pizza after church at least once a week on Sundays. And so as a kid, I remember going, okay, we can't eat out, but then I watched my dad put $400 worth of tires on this guy's car. I learned from my dad that when things are tight or tough, you have to you give your way out of it. You don't tighten everything up when things are bad. That's when you actually find ways to give more. And it's sort of the opposite. And I watched my dad do that. So that affected me dramatically about giving back, was learning, especially tithing, the financial side of it. But just my grandmother and my dad. My dad was never about himself. Neither was my mom. They always had something bigger than themselves. My dad was a pilot, and which I got from him, but he was always so he could take people for rides. It wasn't so he could be like, I'm a pilot. My dad didn't have that. My dad didn't need like acceptance or admiration from others, or really my mom, but I certainly have that. I've always been like, look at me. Do you think, from the youngest age, I was looking for external validation from others.
I will say this. I bet you this has happened too. Like most of the time when, if a child goes to their parents, 18 or 19, all of a sudden they turn around and sit there and say, okay, I know you want me to go to school, but not, I got an offer to do commercials and to be a model and go around the world. Most parents would be sitting there like looking at you with their mouth open, going like, wait a minute, what? Uh, but I have a feeling that when you told your parents that this was happening for you, they gave their blessing. They said, because you know what, you have a good head on your shoulders. You have your core values. You know who you are, you're confident in your identity. I bet you they give you their blessing, and I bet you that helps you tremendously, don't you think?
They did give me their blessing, but uh, I was not in a very good place when I started modeling. I was I certainly was. I got in a lot of trouble as a young teen, like with authority. So they were coming. High school, college was better. I was, so single focused. But in high school, I was like, they were in the principal's office with me all the time. It was crazy.
Yeah, but do you think that was a do you think that trouble that you were in? Do you think it was just small town stuff? Because you
Yeah,
were,
yes,
yeah. I mean,
yeah. Small town bring down, small town.
yeah,
But it was my dad was gone a lot, and it was. I was looking for attention for sure, and for adventure, Patrick. I mean, trouble gave me a real adventure, and I knew how far to push it. I never pushed it so that I would take away my freedoms. Like, I never pushed the boundaries so far that the consequences were less freedom. It was always just charming enough
right.
that people would get me a slap on the wrist. It was never like you're going to jail, or your car's going to get taken
Yeah,
away or something.
your town's police officer. They probably knew you, and they probably knew you. Probably knew each other by their first names. Hey, Paul. Hi, Charles. How are you? Oh, what'd you do today? Well, they caught me with a beer can behind the behind the church. Oh, all right. Well, you know that you can't do that, so don't do that anymore. Okay. you know.
Yeah, yeah. Mine was never with police. It was just authority figures at school, principals, coaches, and it wasn't until Larry Ethier, my volleyball coach, pulled me aside and had me tell my parents that I was stealing, because I had like a weird 1 year where I was stealing stuff like car stereos, and I had a bad friend group for a minute. And my coach luckily lived down the street from that bad friend, and I was the captain of our volleyball team. And he said, if I see your car parked down the street, you're not going to start for me. You're going to sit on the bench. I never saw that kid again. I was like, I am the captain of this team. I am not going to be sitting on the bench. So he single handedly, well, that was the first step. The second was he told me to tell my parents I was stealing. And it took me about 6 months. And finally, we had a conference, and they came in, and I told them. And then as soon as I told them, it was over. I had nothing to rebel against anymore. And I told them,
Right.
and then I stopped stealing. They're like, "Why are you stealing?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's fun. It's fun. Just, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fun."
Um, yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun, but I'm sure now you think about it, you think about like, the other people that were involved in it. Like, yeah, I stole a scar stereo, but then you think of the person the next day who's worked very hard, you know, and then they come out there and they see their property's gone, and I'm sure that weighed on you. I'm sure after you told your parents, I'm sure you're sitting there going like, I'm glad that's over with. I'm not going to do it again. I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to hurt anybody again. I'm going to,
Yeah,
mind my P's and Q's. So when you
yeah.
told your parents, they were a little bit, they were still supportive of you, but they were a little bit leery, I'm sure. Then, right? Were they a little leery
A
about
little
you going
leery.
overseas?
Yeah, but I was, 18, so you just when you and they were, I don't know, they were very supportive, but they when I look back on it, I'm like, especially flying, like I flew my plane across the United States from Edmonton to New York City when I was 21, and I just remember the look in my mom's eyes when I had only had 65 hours on my license, and I remember they have no choice with me. Because I was going, and it's just like you could give me your blessing or not, but I'm going. Like there was no permission. I wasn't asking permission. I never really have in
No,
my
no.
life. I
I
never
think,
really.
yeah, of course. I mean, that's what I mean. You told them this is what you're going to do, and their
Yeah,
reaction.
yeah.
When did you get into flying? You said you were 21 how old were you when you started flying? And
Probably
what kind of plane did you fly?
probably 12 or 13. My dad let me take the yoke, or even younger. My dad would let me do cool things in the plane and never land it. But until I think once he let me start flying more in the right seat, and he was always in the left seat, so he had. At that point, it's hard to fly from the right side until because when you learn on the left side. That was a Piper Cherokee. That I ended up buying that plane for my dad for $40,000. Some of my early modeling money, I bought the plane, and he bought it off his brother in 1964 for, I mean, for probably $30,000 or something. They're less than a car, less than an SUV at least. So, but there's 14 pilots in my family, and 3 of them have runway strips on their farms, and it's how our family stayed connected to each other was through aviation.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I just grew up in small planes, and I flew a helicopter 2 years ago, and I fell, or maybe 3 years ago, and I fell in love with the feeling of just how intuitive it is. You just think right, and the chopper goes right. So there's a part of me that wants to get another thing on my license. I have a couple different ratings for my private license. I have a high
Stay away from the
performance and
Robinsons.
from what
Stay away from the Robinsons.
the hell are they no good? Those helicopters?
No, those things are terrible. Things are
How come?
terrible. Um, they have a lot of mechanical issues. Lot
Okay.
of crashes. A lot of crashes. Not a good machine at all. I read.
Okay.
I read a lot about defense, like the different planes and the weapons and the systems coming up, and I read about the Robinsons. Especially the R-44s. Man, just no, not good.
Oh, okay. I'll
Yeah.
avoid those. I'll avoid those.
So you are 21 and you fly to New York. Now that's where did you stay at in New York when you landed there? Was that your first modeling gig there?
No,
Like,
I had been modeling at that point for 4 years, so or 3.5, 4 years. I
so
was
you
already
paid for it.
very established at that point. I had somehow maybe I was a little maybe I was 22 when I did that. I'm trying to think of how old I was when I first flew to New York. 20 maybe I was 22, but I had a place in Brooklyn. I kept the plane in Long Island and Farmingdale at the time, uh, and then I got my instrument rating in New Jersey, in Jersey City, uh, and so I used to take my agents and friends and photographers around the Statue of Liberty before 9/11. You used to be able to we'd take a train out to Long Island and then a taxi from the train station to Farmingdale, and then I would take them. And I was young, and I would take my agents around Statue of Liberty, and you could fly around it at like 500 feet and just circle it.
Mhm.
And I have all these home video of my camcorders filming the Statue of Liberty from from here to 100 feet away. It's really cool. It's a really neat. It was a neat time in my life,
Yeah.
but I only did it just to get closer to my dad. Like I don't have the flying bug. Like my dad had to fly. He passed away 8 years ago already. Um, oh, Ruth, does my mom know about this interview? I should have told her. I'm sure she would love to be on here. Maybe we can send her the link. Um, I forgot. My mom loves these conversations. She might be on here. I hope so.
Oh, sure. No, no. You want to make some small talk for about 5 minutes and
No, no, no. She'll come on.
okay.
She can watch. She'll watch the replay later as well.
Okay.
This is. There is no small talk. There is no small talk, Patrick. There's no time for
No.
small talk. No time
I,
for small
I
talk.
just wanted to, if she wanted to come in, I definitely would hold it for her to come in. I have no problem with that. Um,
Okay, no, no. She'll pop on if we can get her. She's a very active. She just had her hip done, so she's out storming the castle now.
oh,
She's
no
out.
doubt. Isn't that amazing what they can do? Before it'd be like a broken hip and be like, oh, doom and gloom. But now you
Yeah.
break a hip and they got you out there running the next day, practically. Uh, what was your first big city experience? Where did you go when you left Alberta? Was it Toronto first? I
It
mean, was
was
that
it
your
was
first
it was
big city?
Toronto, yeah. I think it was Toronto,
Uh,
but of course, even Calgary and Edmonton were bigger than where I grew up. Red Deer was bigger. Red Deer had 60,000. Calgary, where I met Kelly, had almost 1 million at the time, I think. But then, yeah, I think Toronto was, but I was only in Toronto for 3.5 months. But that was my first kind of, and I knew nothing. Like I knew just a little bit. There's no internet, so you get to a city and you don't you don't know anything. You just sort of you're in like Little Italy, or you're in little, even all the new cult. I love that about I hadn't even been exposed to film or TV. So I grew up very sheltered. So everything in Toronto, all these different cultures, I had zero prejudice or zero filter judgment. Everything was just new and positive and beautiful. Like I didn't look at a different race or a color of skin and think, "Ooh, guy must be dangerous." I didn't have the reference. I didn't have a movie. So, and I'm only sort of realizing this now. It's a big part of the reason why I have such a positive outlook on life is that I, in some way, I would so little exposure to biases growing up, the way
Yeah.
I grew up, the way I grew up, so that when I got to Toronto, I was just like, what is that? And what is that? And what is that? Like
Well,
I just,
what was how did you accept how did you handle the culture shock? Was there, I mean, were you wide eyed or were you
yeah,
just
no, it was just fun. It was just fun for me. I have a very large capacity for adventure and experience. Nothing even got close to being too much. I was excited, but I'm also a really great sleeper. So I would hit each day with a new whack of energy, and I just was like, how much can I experience? So got a job at a Greek restaurant in Toronto. Stayed at a fraternity house. Um, which was interesting because everyone was smoking pot and stuff, and I'm like on a Jesus quest, which was really an interesting experience. And then to get discovered to go to Europe right away, I was only there for 3.5 months, and I'm like, time to get out of Canada. And then once I just fell in love with the culture and the language, and I would live with a French family or an Italian family or a Filipino family that was somehow connected to the church. I wouldn't live like with the models. I would live with a family. So I learned how to cook, and I would learn the language as a
you know
result.
what?
Rather,
That's funny you mentioned it because I talked about that in the pre-show or before you got here. I was talking about that. I bet you Paul knows how to cook, because you're bouncing all around all over. And I said, I bet you one thing. I bet he knows how to cook. And sure enough, he just thank you for that, Paul. Thank you
I
for that.
do,
I
I
I
do.
sort of knew that.
I love food. I'm about to make a big meal now. For our friends are coming over shortly for some dinner before we go see one of my favorite artists at the Pantages today. But I had a teacher who was a cordon bleu trained chef who lived with me for 3 years here in LA, and she taught me a lot. But then living with the different families, like in France and Italy, and I learned how they made food for their family and asked them to teach me and all that. You can do a lot when you're not just out trying to get laid all the time. Like you have a lot of
Yeah.
energy and a lot of focus, or
Yeah.
drugs, or uh, I missed a lot of culture. To be honest, I got the family side of culture, but I wasn't out seeing like
The whole
art and
city.
architecture and design, and I wasn't in the cutting edge of the pop culture. I was on the family back end of culture, which is a different side to experience countries through. Um, yeah.
You know what though? If you really think about it, I mean, what's better? I mean, yeah, you go out like a tourist. You go out there and see the Roman Colosseum, or you can see the, Thermopylae, or the Apocalypse, or whatever, right? You can do what the tourists do, and that's great. But to
Mm.
me, living with a family and
Yes.
being part of that family, and it's like
Yeah.
you actually sink roots into that country, through
Mm-hmm.
the family. You sink roots there, and you get to observe a lot more, a lot more what life is on the daily, more than on as a tourist, because you're just there. You're there for 15, 20 minutes, an hour here, an hour here, an hour here, and it's just like, if you ask most people, what do you remember about that trip? Unless they have pictures to reference it, a lot of times they might remember maybe a meal, or maybe they remember one thing, but they don't remember everything really in detail. Whereas I
Mm.
bet you now, if I asked you to tell me about those families, you could actually sit there in 30 seconds, start telling me about them. What do they like? What do they dislike? What kind of foods they cooked? Where did you go together? I mean, you retain that more because you were more involved with their lives, and them with yours. It was an extended family. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, you're
did you
right.
really miss a lot? Probably not.
No, I don't think I missed a lot. I think I
No.
missed a lot of like pain, really. I missed a lot of, yeah, no, I don't feel like I missed, I've made up for it. I've made up for a lot of the culture and the pop culture stuff. No, I, I was very present to my experience. I wasn't distracted. I was so focused on one thing. And that one thing brought a lot of of experiences in its own little bubble, right? Like it wasn't, and it just kept me safe too. Like it kept me from, like, who knows what you can get involved within the drug cultures and some of the party situations. Yeah, I'm really grateful. It gave me a foundation for real estate too. Like I just had saved all my money and had good mentors and read good books early to invest early in real estate when I was really young. And I had my wits about me at an early age, and I give all that credit to God. And I found that, it wasn't my parents' religion. I found that relationship with God, like in the most bizarre place, which was through modeling and through a girl who was a model and bought me a guitar and a Bible.
I think it's beautiful, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
music is, as my good guy talked about music. I mean, you're right about the culture. I mean, I was a talent buyer for 10 years in California. So I worked with all the big name bands, a lot of the big name bands. And sadly, there was a lot of those musicians that never made it. By the end of by the time my career ended, I moved. A lot of musicians who I knew personally or worked with, a lot of them were gone. It's
Yeah, yeah,
they lived that life, and they unfortunately that life got them at the end. It was very sad. you know just watching
yeah,
someone go back to their club and watch somebody in the alleyway shooting up, before they go on. It's just like, man, that's just messed up.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you hear all kinds of things, whether it's Tom Petty or Prince, and so many Hendrix. It doesn't matter. The guy from In Excess. There's just so many people lost to some form of
Michael Hutchins, that's why I said,
Michael Hutchins. Yeah,
yeah.
altering your state or trying to avoid whatever you're feeling or soften what you're feeling or feel nothing. Yeah.
What do you how old were you when you got your first guitar? Had you already learned how to play it when you were in Canada, or was this something that you picked up in New York?
Not New York. Jenny, the girl I met, had a guitar, and I think she either bought me the Bible or the guitar or both when I was just started modeling. But I played when I was really young with my dad's guitar, and then I took lessons that I hated because they were just teaching scales, and it was awful. And I wanted just to go outside and play and make a mess of things, not be stuck in a stuffy room getting lessons. But it was her who, and then she bought me this, or she gave me this songbook. I still have it. It's a Vineyard songbook that has all these worship songs, and I learned a few of those, and the chords. She just taught me simple chords, and for some reason, because I grew up in a very musical home, so it was easy for me and quick for me to learn the guitar and piano. I said at piano I learned a little bit later, but I was a counselor at a Bible camp for 8 years, and one of the other counselors was this phenomenal Ben Christensen, a phenomenal pianist, and I had such a good guitar teacher in New York that who taught me the math of how chords work, that when I sat down at the piano, I just flipped my hands over, and all of a sudden, sort of my arpeggios and the way that my octaves and just the way similar to how I would play this finger and make a 1-3-5 shape with my hand on a chord, I was able to make that on the piano, and the piano made sense to me. And I honestly feel like I learned the piano in one evening, which is that says a lot how good of a teacher he was, and also how good my teacher in New York was. That the math, it's right there in black and white, and there's only 8 keys and they repeat, whereas the guitar is kind of infinite, where on the piano it was so defined with these 8 notes and the sharps and flats that I could see it. And I just started just thumping on chords on the guitar, on the piano, and singing, and I liked the feeling of being able, and I was singing and playing the piano that night, which is really, and it took me a while to start to get some dexterity, but the math was there because of my amazing jazz teacher in New York. Yeah.
Um,
Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no. Uh, you like jazz? Jazz, one of your favorites?
I don't like jazz at all. No, I find it really, uh, I find it similar to somebody at a party who's so educated that they're talking to everybody and not listening.
Yeah, I find it like being trapped in a phone booth.
Yeah, there's now the older I get, the more I start to appreciate what it goes in to make a beautiful jazz song, and I'm starting to like, but I think it comes with age. It's like classical music. I used to hate classical music, and now I listen to it, and my brain is exploding because of the beauty of the melody, and just amazed what is being what. So as I get older, I think I'm appreciating jazz and blues and classical a lot more.
I'm more for the vocalist. Like I love Jay Monet. I mean, that's my favorite. She's just absolutely wonderful, and I could listen to her all day. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I'm more into the vocalist aspect of it. I do feel bad for the artists though, for the musicians. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, I always felt like, every time we watch a jazz band, they always feel like they can only move 6 inches this way, 6 inches that way, and 6 inches this way. Otherwise, everybody's going to go there and like, what are you doing? That's not jazz. I think, I mean, to be able to express yourself creatively and organically and originally as a musician, I mean, that you gotta you gotta be able to do that in order to love what you do. You just can't sit there and play. Can't be there and just stay refined. In a smaller box. You get, like you
Sure.
said, you just wanted to go outside and just basically punk rock it. Okay, I learned three chords. Let me go outside in the back and I'm just gonna wang away. I'm gonna bang it out right there. No, you have to learn how to play classically. Why? That I have
No.
time for that. I just want to go out there and have fun right now. Um,
Right.
and so I guess that's really that's really what it was for modeling too, right? I mean, you're doing modeling. You got to a point where it's like, you know what? I want to do something else. I want to. What else is next? And that led you to acting.
No, I'd always wanted to act first, but modeling was just paid so well and gave me an adventure. But I was always still in school along the way, and every day on set I did a commercial was the best day ever. So the only reason I didn't act sooner is my schedule would fill up
Mm.
with modeling jobs ahead of time, and every time pilot season came around was also campaign season for me in New York, and uh, I would have had to turn down a lot of money to go start from zero and act. And I did it the weirdest time. I did it when my son was 6 months old. I was like, all right, I'm changing careers. And at 30 years old, I'm like, I'm heading to LA to try this acting thing. And I could have done it 5, 6, 7, 8 years prior, but I just, for some reason, that was the moment and that was the time. And 9/11 had happened, and the eastern seaboard lost power for 3 days when my son was just born in the hospital, or just in the birthing center. But we had 37 flights of stairs when he was just like 5 days old. And then we got hit by a truck, water. A big truck went through gray water and splashed me and my son. And my son was like 2 weeks old, and I was holding him. And that was it. I said, we're selling. And I had real estate, and I said, we're selling the property in New Jersey and in Long Island City. And I moved out immediately to LA with my son at a couple months. So maybe he was, by the time we sold the place, he was probably 4 or 5 months, and went to LA to do what I knew was burning in my soul, because modeling was very one dimensional.
I mean, if you could do it again, what would you have done different? Would you have gambled as a 22-year-old and going down to LA, or you
Yeah,
think?
100%, 100%, 100%. I would have come here when I was 18 or 19 and just got got heavy into music and heavy into acting, and just put myself in the rock school and film school. That's what if I could do it again. I wouldn't, the adventure though of Europe, and the understanding in I guess it would be I'd be giving up a lot, because there's a lot of adventure that came, and there's a lot of self understanding that came from those lonely, cold nights in Italy or in London or in France, where I didn't know if I was gonna. There was some harder years at the beginning of acting or modeling, rather, where I didn't know if I was going to be able to eat. at the very beginning. Like I mean, it's a bit dramatic because my parents would have helped me, but still, um, it was those. I don't know if I would have had my head about me in the way. I think that journey, especially through my faith, had I just gone to LA, I might have lost my head a bit. I think that it was important for me to do the hero's journey a bit, and I've
Yeah.
had many mentors. Many of them have died along the way, that have taught me a lot.
I think there was a case, and do you think this is true, that it was more a case you could follow your brain or your heart. If you followed your heart, you would have came out to LA, but you followed your brain, and that really was like, it'd be better off for me, because like you said, I mean, you were incredibly busy. I mean, in demand. I mean, that's and you're a model for how many years? 8 years?
I think 12 years. So from 18 to 30, I still did it up till about 33. 33 is when I started to realize it was taking me away from LA too much. So my first 2 or 3 years here in LA, I was going between still taking German jobs and the odd English client. But the casting directors for film and TV were like, is he in town? Is he not in town? So I had to stop fully, which was great because the commercials, then I just doubled down on commercials, which I could do here. And it got me, I think I became a SAG member in 1993. No. 1990. It's on my card. I'll tell you. 1996 was my 1996. Yeah, 1996 was my SAG entrance into it.
Is that was your modeling career? I mean, to me, you were extremely. I mean, that's most of the time. Isn't the modeling career pretty short lived? And yet you did it for a
No,
long time. You were.
no. For men, I still have friends doing it still that never left, and I could have been doing it till now. Yeah, men my age start to buy clothes and watch and cars and whatever. Yeah, no, I would had I continued. I was at the peak of my career when I left.
So you landed in L.A. Uh, did your agent follow you? Did they transfer you to another agent? Do they refer you to an acting agent, or did they stay with you?
No, my original agent was just there to help place me for print things. I had to do all the work on my own to get relationships for film. And there was a guy named Maury who saw me in Miami who brought me to New York to act. He met me at a modeling agent, but he was a commercial agent at Innovative. And he's the reason I left Miami to go to New York in 1995 or 96, something like that. But it was actually to act. But as soon as I got to LA, or sorry, as soon as I got to New York, is when I met with Wilhelmina Models, and then I started just being super busy doing print and never really got a chance to, other than school. I went to school in New York at Stella Adler's and Uta Hagens and Susan Batson. So I did 3 big acting schools when I was there, knowing I would eventually get back into it, and knowing that when I did the commercials, those were my best. Any day I was on set, I was like, this is I have to do. I need to do it. Yeah.
What was your first gig? What was the first thing you booked when you landed in Los Angeles?
I believe it's a Freddie Prinze Jr. sitcom where I was a fireman with these cute puppies, and I just came on a sitcom and crashed a party, and it was just, I think I had a couple lines where I was just like, that was the first thing. And then the next thing I did was really big. It was a Fox show that was 42 episodes with Tatum O'Neal as my love interest, called Wicked Games. Fox was trying to do a telenovela type thing where they did a episode every night, where they actually took a script from Mexico and turned it into English, and had us. Fox was trying to do telenovelas, and one of them was called Wicked Games. And I think there's a couple of my fans. I know Tracy Spalding is one of in the chat, that she found me on Wicked Games, and that was my first thing. Really, like, and then on that show, David Kelly saw me for Wedding Bells, and David Kelly created everything.
Every,
Currently, especially, but back then it was just Doogie Howser and Boston Legal, Boston Public, and Ally McBeal. But now he's done all these other ones with Nicole Kidman, right?
right.
And so David,
That was that would be, it's interesting, the contrast though. I mean, here you are coming from New York. You are going around, your faith is clear within you. You lived a clean life, and there you go, and you land against the extreme opposite of you. You know, you're pretty much right there, straight and narrow, and then you got the product of a Hollywood, and you saw that in Tatum O'Neal. What was working with her like? I mean, was it a cautionary tale working with her? Like, did you learn what not to do, or
yeah, she was
or
struggling. Her mom was passing away at the time, or her stepmom. She was in a darker place. I saw her after that at a cafe, maybe 3 or 4 years later, and she was doing much better. It seemed like she was in a much better place. It was wonderful. I had a lot of compassion for her. She won an Oscar at 11, and I don't think that, depending on your tools, that would be hard to deal with. I think for Paper Moon, right? And she was a sweetheart. On a business, there was things that it was exactly what I needed to step up and do what I needed to do. Meaning, whatever was going on with her gave me a lot of gifts in terms of, I had to bring a little bit more to it on a couple occasions because she was going through something. So I wouldn't call it a cautionary tale. It would maybe be more of a compassionate tale of understanding that everybody's in this life going through something, and it's inconvenient if it happens when you're on set, but sometimes it happens on set.
what I meant by cautionary, because you mentioned before how if you were 18 or 19, you would have went to LA, and just think about that.
Mm,
You go into that and you see that, you see how the grind is. Here's someone who's an established Hollywood veteran, and she's struggling. Now imagine you coming into LA straight from Canada, straight into there. I mean, it is in a sense, it's like what could
mm.
have been, because
It
LA's a
wasn't.
rough town.
It
LA,
wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like a cautionary tale in that way either. No. Just people going to work doing their job. Like it wasn't like a lot of parties, and everyone was everyone, there were young cast, like young kids on it. But I was 30. Maybe if I was 19 or 20, I don't know. It's hard
yeah,
to say. I haven't found, at least my the filter that I look at the world. It's not like I'm in a forest and there's wolves or dangerous things lurking behind the shadows. For me, like it is the world is my map of the world is a very safe place that is moldable and changeable and is fun, and I can experience uh, whatever I'm willing to allow myself to experience, like however good I'm willing to have it. It's me that puts the limit on how good I'm willing to have it. So my view of the world has always been that there's a lot of fun to be had, and that it's not a dangerous place.
it's
So I'm sure I would have found my way even at 19 or 20.
I think it's fun. I think for a lot of people it's fun. And based on my experience, I see people that do, they go out there, they have the most best of intentions. I mean, we like to think everybody has the best of intentions when they first started out. I meant to do this, I want to do that, I'm gonna, I got my goals and everything. But there are some times where you do land there, and despite your best intentions, not everybody plays by the same rules, and they don't. And so it's good that it's I think just listening to your story to this point, I think you made the right call in coming out at 30 instead of or 21 or 19. I think you had a lot more wisdom behind you. You were a lot
Yeah.
smarter, a lot more experienced, and I think that really is a godsend. So I mean, you can say God was definitely looking out for you in your career.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. So listen, I have to. I want to play a song or two, but then I have to go because I have to make dinner. And I'm loving this conversation. What I want to. I don't want to cut it short, but I do need to. I'm watching my wife prepare the house, and I need to help her get ready for our guests. But I'd love to play a song or two from Long Way
Please
Home.
do. Please do.
I know you mentioned that.
We can always do this again some other time.
Well, let me see what I can put together. Long Way Home is. I've really enjoyed your questions though. They're unique, and I've definitely shared some things here that I haven't shared before. So that's a lot. That's a lot of fun. That's a testament to you. This is a song. I wonder if I should ask in the chat. Can you hear that? Okay, does it sound rich and clean, or does it sound distorted and
sounds clear to me?
Cool. Maybe I'll ask in the chat what song that folks want to hear. Is Mr. Bones you, or is that somebody else?
No, Mr. Bones is my silent co-host. He's in blue because he protects the chat from in case we hear anything.
Oh, that's protects the chat from the odd. There's the odd thing. All right, so I was going to do "Waves of Time," which is actually a song I wrote for "When Calls the Heart." I think I need my harmonica though. And what I'm going to do is just take off this earpiece for now because I don't need to hear you talk, and hopefully it doesn't mess anything up. Here we go. This is "Waves of Time." Here's what we'll do. Let's do this. And turn off Bluetooth because I had echo cancellation off, but now we'll be good to go.
Before you play, one question: are you a big Neil Young fan?
I am. Yeah, I mean certain aspects, not all aspects of Neil. He's quite ornery and quite hard to get along with, but I like some of the old music, that's for sure. Yeah. I usually play a Neil Young songs. My mom really likes Harvest Moon. Is that echo there, or are you okay?
No, you're fine.
You're good. Because I took the earpiece off. Time goes by so slowly, and I miss her right next to me. She moves like the wind blowing, rolling all the waves in the sea. You're the one for me, made a blind man see. You're the one I love, you're the one I love. You're the one for me, made a blind man see. You're the one I love, you're the one I love. Waves of time rolling on my mind. Waves of time rolling on my mind. Across the golden prairies, right over the mountains, right next to the sea. Like ships in the night, I miss your light shining down on me. You're the one for me, made a blind man see. You're the one I love, you're the one I love. Waves of time rolling for you to come back home. My heart will never wander. I'll never roll my counts of the days for you to come back home. My heart will never wander. I'll never roll my counts of the days for you to come back home. My heart will never wander. I'll never roll. Waves of time rolling on my mind. Waves of time rolling on my mind. Waves of time rolling on my mind. That's a song I wrote for One Calls a Heart. There's a scene in, I think, season 8 or something, maybe 7, no 8, where they asked, my character was singing something to another character, and I wrote that song for it, but also wrote it because I was stuck and away from my real love, away from Kate. The sound come through okay? I'll do one for. I'm going to do this one that actually is called "Plea of an Angel," and it is it actually made it to #1 on the country charts in Canada. So, and the woman who co-wrote it with me is on the chat. Paula Waters sent me these lyrics. I put some music to it, and this is a "Plea of an Angel." Would you like to hear that, Patrick?
I'd very much like to hear that, Paul.
And how's the sounds coming through? Okay.
Well, sounds great.
Good, good.
It takes me back, man. It takes me back to another life, man. I'll be standing there and just listening to people play on stage, and I just loved it.
Cool. Yeah, music, man. Music can certainly take you somewhere. So this is "Plea of an Angel," and I was in the murder ballad phase there for a minute. Do you know who Coulter Wall is, Patrick?
Pardon me? One more time?
Do you know who Coulter Wall is?
No, I do not.
Do yourself a favor and look him up.
We'll do that.
Coulter Wall, yeah. And he wrote a murder ballad called Kate McCannon. And I also played, Johnny Cash does a lot of them, like Folsom Prison is a murder ballad. It sort of shares why somebody's stuck in the perspective of after they've done the murder, kind of. His heart holds the cries of those I've done wrong. In my head plays a dark and a dismal song. Scars of shame are sure disfigure me. I can't hide from the crimes, I'm no mystery. Then I hear the plea of an angel calling out to me in the night. The plea of an angel wakes me up from my plight. Well, I fall down to my knees. Don't go worrying about a man like me. boy all knew but a whisper of the past. Iron bars now my home, a forgotten outcast. Ghosts of guilt now echo in the ache of my bones. Feel the shame upon this bed of stones. But I hear the plea of an angel calling out to me in the night. Plea of an angel that wakes me up from my plight when I fall down to my knees. Don't worry about a man like me. No whiskey can release these demons within. One day will come, I'll escape from under the sin. Give the Lord control, these reins around my soul. The angel heard my cry and would not let me die. Oh, and I hear the plea of an angel calling out to me in the night. Plea of an angel, wake me up from my plight, fall down to my knees. Don't worry about a man like me. And that's Plea of an Angel.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, you guys really made some magic there. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Dave Alvin?
Dave Alvin, no.
Yeah, you would really love him.
Okay.
He was in a band with his brother Phil called the Blasters.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a couple of links on. I'll mail you a couple of his songs.
That's great. That would be great. Well, I appreciate you having me on. I love your questions. Was there 8 questions, or is that just sort of how you get it started?
It's just that. That's just how I started. Because when I did it on the blog, since it was written answers, I just sent between 8 to 12 questions out. So it was just a way to title it. So I just kept that and brought it over here. And yeah. And no, yeah, it's obviously going to be more 8 questions in this format, but no, thank you so much, Paul, and thank you very much for your words. I do hope you'll come back. I'd like to extend an open door invitation if you'd like to come back, and we'll do it again sometime. I'll be more than happy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate your questions and your listening. I've definitely shared a different perspective than I have before. You have a very beautiful, non-pretentious, simple way of asking and listening. So I really appreciate that, Patrick.
Thank you so much, sir. All right. We are going to let this young man go because he is needed in the kitchen. And
I'm in the kitchen and I'm hearing my baby right now, like doing the cutest giggle of all time, which means it's playtime. So I'm going to get what I need to in the oven, and then I'm going to tackle. He's 4.5 months now, so Austin is his name, and I was born to be a dad, man. I can't believe I waited 18 years to do this again. Like crazy. I could have had a whole gaggle in the middle there. I don't know what I was waiting for.
I followed Kate's last few weeks, and I was really on the edge of my seat along with everybody else. Like, it was it was exciting time for you for sure.
Oh, you mean when the baby was happening
Yeah.
or not happening? Yeah.
When Kate was pregnant and you guys were you were posting about when because I was sitting there going like when's she's due, and I think
Yeah.
wasn't she overdue a little bit?
It was a 4-day labor
Oh,
and 3 weeks overdue. Yeah.
women are amazing, are they not?
Yeah, I'm convinced that compared to women, we are exceptionally weaker, especially in the realm of pain tolerance.
Oh, you have
Uh,
no idea.
yeah, I can, yeah. I can't even imagine. But yeah, no, I'm very, very happy to be a father. I'm very happy to meet you, and thank you everybody for coming out. And thanks Ruth for putting this together. I guess is that how you learned about me from Ruth, or were you
Oh,
did you reach out?
I knew who you were, but me and Ruth, we've been friends for a long time, and
Great.
yeah. So she's awesome. So um, I'll let you get out of here,
Yeah.
and I
All right.
want to thank the chat very much. And we will see you Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time for Doug and Ava Potterfield. They will both be here. We'll talk to them and also hear some music from them as well.
How
All right,
cool.
everybody. Thanks so much, and we will see you soon. Have a great night.
Bye,
Thanks.
everybody.